what do you think are the kind of bigger picture strategic issues for businesses to think about as we move out of lockdown into the sort of recovery phase?
Yeah, we've kind of touched on it already, I guess, really, which is from a data point of view and making the most of the opportunities that it presents, and managing appropriately the data risk that goes with that, both from a purely information security perspective, but that's introduction regulatory risk. It's about applying the thought and taking the time now, given that it might have been overlooked in this sort of this transition, taking the time to really think about data strategy. So what are we getting, or what are we seeing, or what do we want to be getting, or what do we want to be seeing data-wise? That is relevant both to employees and consumers, more so obviously to the customer side, but it does cross over. What do we want to do with it? What do we want to achieve? What could we generate? What can we learn from this data? But all the time baking in processes, policies, and everything else that helps to mitigate risk to a comfortable level for that organisation, which is always very different organisation. But doing that now, and then from that flows a range really of different more granular measures. So we mentioned before, do you need to appoint a TPO? Do you need to look at the processes within a product development team, say, or a digital marketing team, and make sure that everything's being baked in? We talk about data protection by design and default, but right at the very beginnings of any of your business processes, baking in the measures that you're going to need to allow you to make the most of the opportunity whilst managing the risk appropriately, and taking the time to do that now in this sort of the curve coming out of the lockdown period will absolutely generate returns in the future, rather than carrying on not taking the time to do that thinking and then having to try and bolt on a solution at a later date, which rarely works, frankly. Or it does work, but it works to mitigate risk, but you've sort of lost your opportunity effectively. So thinking about those big picture sort of data strategy issues now, and looking at the same time at, we mentioned a moment ago, this sort of workplace culture. Mm-hmm. Is this a thing for our business? Do people know about data and the value of it and the risk that can be generated by it? What do we need to do to help people understand that? And how do we raise awareness and encourage the behaviours and practices that we want to see? But all of that requires you to think about it now, almost before sort of you really get the momentum of the new world, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think most commentators look at this and they say, apart from say the humanitarian issue, this the impact on the economy and the impact on society generally is probably as pronounced as it has been since the end of World War II and perhaps earlier than that. Yeah. So thinking about how businesses respond in that sort of environment is a really difficult thing. But I do think that to me it doesn't seem as though what the world is going through at the moment leads itself naturally to everybody coming out of this and going, actually, we're just going to return to where we were before. Yeah. I don't think that's the case, and I think most commentators would probably agree with that. So I think from a tech perspective, the time that the businesses have got, provided they're able to devote the time to this sort of thinking is perhaps usefully spent on doing a bit of due diligence around the business as a whole and saying, let's take this time to assess whether the tech that we're using at the moment aligns to where we want to be as a business going forward. Does it align to the change perhaps in the way that our customers are dealing with us now? And do we need to think about different ways of doing that? Perhaps accelerating the digital transformational plan we had on the desk a year ago, and it's been moving incrementally forward over the last 6 months. Does that need to be accelerated now to take advantage of the opportunities that there will be as we come out of it and the curve increases and productivity increases with businesses? So So I think there's something around that. In some ways, it's thinking a bit like a startup agile business. It's sort of saying, actually, we need to assimilate the business information, the market data, the information that we're getting about our employees and our customers as quickly as we possibly can, and then spotting those opportunities and enabling us to be agile in the way that we then look at our tech estate going forward to make sure that it aligns with what we want to do. So I think that there's something around that as well. And then I think that the other thing is talk to people about it, make it clear that from a communications perspective, both your employee base but also your customers and the world at large know what you're doing. Don't do it in a back room somewhere. Let's talk about what you are doing with your tech estate to actually take advantage of it, because that in itself is key to demonstrate what you're doing to try and address this situation. And harking back to that humanitarian issue, it is all about making people understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. I think that's a key point to take away from this. Be transparent in what you're doing as much as you possibly can. And then also just think about, we talked about those 3 stages, didn't we? The reactive stage, the return to work, and then that kind of, how do we imagine our business going forward? And it might be that from a tech perspective, you might need to be looking at different people having input on each of those different strategies. It may not be the same. It may not be the same people need to have that discussion at different parts of in different parts of the business. So just thinking through that and being able to identify who the right people are to have that discussion, I think, is really important as well.
Footansty, powering your ambition.